Okay. Detective Raimundo Garcia is entering the building here again, and he'll take the stand again. He must be exhausted from this.
Good morning, sir. You remain under oath. Please pull up the chair and tell us when you're ready. Mr. Boggs is your witness.
Thank you. And I apologize, Judge. I have a cough drop in my mouth.
A cough drop?
I apologize to your counsel.
William Boggs continues to
I
question
believe
him.
where we left off. Thank you for good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here again. I believe where we left off, defense exhibit number 11, Detective Garcia, you were looking at that. That is a page from what is a state exhibit and what is Grizelda's application for child support. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I think I went through a very convoluted way of indicating that it's dated February 1st of 2018. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And is that a true and accurate representation of a page of the application that you collected?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, at this time, I'd ask that Defense Exhibit 11 be admitted into
Any
evidence.
objections to 11? Defense 11.
No objection.
Admitted.
Oh, he got a cough drop today.
Thank you, sir. So, and I believe we indicated yesterday that in that application, Grizelda identified this man as Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles. Is that correct?
That's correct. Ronald A. Burgos-Aviles.
And so it would seem for at least 2 months before she was killed that she knew that this man, that the father of her child's name was Ronald Burgos-Aviles, correct?
Correct.
And so if her family said that she'd identified him as Anthony, that was because she didn't tell her family all of the information. Is that correct? Or could you infer that?
Yes, you could.
Okay. Because she knew him on Facebook Messenger, as you've described, for a long time as Roro.
Correct.
Judge, if I could have just one moment.
He's probably going to be like, no further questions, or what? Sometimes he does this and then, okay, no further questions.
Thank you for your patience, and I have passed the witness.
There we go. Told you.
Any redirect?
Yes, just a few items. Geographically, where did this crime occur? Where was the crime scene located?
The crime scene was located by the Father McNaboe Park, which is close to the riverbanks.
And what's across from the riverbanks?
Mexico.
Okay. And in your experience, is cell phone signals interrupted when you're on the riverbanks?
From my experiences, yes.
Okay. Yesterday, Mr. Boggs was asking you that Mr. Burgos was insisting or recommending that Dominic be taken to SA or something tomorrow. Do you remember that questioning?
Yes, I do.
How long have you been a police officer?
Approximately 19 years.
And you began to explain to him when he was pushing you or asking you the questions about Mr. Burgos being the one recommending medical attention to Dominic. Is that an uncommon phenomenon or uncommon technique or is it something that you've seen before where a perpetrator seeks medical attention for a victim?
Yes, I have.
In what circumstances?
In domestic violence cases, where the husband would assault the victim, and they'll take the victim to the hospital, but they're always in control. They have that intimidation factor.
So true, so true.
And from my experiences, it's because they want to sort of deflect suspicion from themselves.
What about in cases of child abuse?
In cases in child abuse, so there's instances where children will come into the hospital with grave injuries, brain injuries, even retina detached injuries, where the parents will bring them in, and they use the excuse the baby fell from the bed, baby fell from the couch. And again, it's the same thing. I mean, I think doctors will know. I don't know if you have children, but I do have children, and they have fallen from the bed, and they don't get injuries like that.
So in those cases, the scientific evidence, the MRI, the CT scan, refutes the explanation given by the parent.
Yes. So again, I mean, it's the parents trying to deflect law enforcement from suspicion on them.
Judge,
Okay.
objection, we're far afield.
He opened the door to he precisely
Let's move on.
asked that
Let's move
question.
on.
Oh, he opened the door.
That's all I have. That's all I have.
Any other questions?
If we could leave that exhibit on the
Sure.
projector. So, on redirect examination, you said that in domestic violence situations, the abuser takes the abused, and most of the time it is the husband and or a male is the abuser and a female is the abused. Is that correct?
Yes, most of the times.
And the abuser wants control over the situation. Did I understand you correctly?
Correct.
And so the abuser will take the abused to the hospital, correct? That was the example that you gave?
Correct.
And they
Yes.
stay at the hospital in order to control the situation, correct?
Correct.
Now I was going to say Burgos didn't do
Because it's
that.
the control is the key point, correct?
That's correct.
And you gave another example when asked by the district attorney about child abuse. Parents take the abused child to the hospital and then they lie about what happened, correct?
Correct.
And they stay with the child as the parent in order to control the situation, correct?
Correct.
Now, in this example, Mr. Burgos-Aviles, and let's be clear, he's convicted of killing both Grizelda and Dominic some 2 weeks later. Everyone knows that, right?
Correct. Yes.
Now, however, in this situation, he suggests to Grizelda to take Dominic to San Antonio, correct?
That's correct.
And he doesn't say, I will take Dominic to San Antonio, does he?
No.
Okay. He doesn't say, I will take Dominic to the hospital and get it checked out, does he?
No, he doesn't.
Okay. And so it looks like in this message, your example about controlling the situation doesn't apply.
It
Would
does,
you agree with
it
that,
does.
Detective?
No.
I think it does, given the what we know now. Okay. He killed somebody, and he tried to deflect law enforcement by pretending that by reporting it. I found the body.
So it's only in that retrospective that you're able to sort of try to reconstruct a story around this earlier incident. Am I understanding you correctly, Detective?
Yes.
But this message here doesn't indicate trying to establish control, does it?
I think it does.
Me too, me too.
But he's not saying he's going to be present at the hospital, correct?
No, he'll be at the park.
He's not saying that.
Okay. And the example you gave about the parents who come and say, "Oh, my child fell from the bed," they were lying, correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Now, this message that the district attorney pointed out, and he did it the first time you testified as well, you know he can get necrosis, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, that's not a lie, right? It's not a lie like, "Oh, he fell from the bed," is it?
No.
So your examples that you just gave the district attorney about child abuse and about spousal abuse really have nothing to do with these messages, do they?
No. But okay.
I'd pass the witness.
You were going to say something, but what?
So these messages, remember that they were sent on the 25th,
Yes.
and he was set to go to he had a meeting with the child support, I believe on the 27th. So from what I get from these messages is he's trying to deflect Grizelda from, or getting Grizelda to take him to San Antonio. That way he wouldn't have to go to that meeting.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, would you say you solved the crime in this case?
I would say yes.
And you're using all the evidence in your investigation to put the pieces together?
Correct.
Do you know when the first time in Dominic's life Burgos decided to see him, how old he was for the first time?
How old he was?
How old was Dominic?
About the 1 year old and months.
18 months old.
18 months old.
For the first time in 18 months, do you know where he saw his son?
The first time he saw his son on the 25th of March at the Winfield Park.
And who set up that meeting?
Ronald Anthony Burgos.
And that meeting was set up before what?
Exactly.
Before Dominic's injury.
Before he went to the hospital.
And what was going to happen after that meeting?
The meeting with the child support.
Who chose the location and where to meet Dominic?
Ronald Anthony Burgos.
And that location was outside at a park.
Outside at a park, yes, correct.
And what was the conclusion of the injury at that time, being outside in the park, that Grizelda thought caused that injury?
Objection, Your Honor. This is cumulative. Just
Okay, no, it goes to control. He controlled the whole environment. He opened the door.
It's okay.
I think it's gone way beyond the scope of recross, redirect, and then the other redirect.
I'll wrap it up.
Wrap it up, please.
Shame. The district attorney is getting so frustrated.
That injury was thought to have been caused by what?
A spider bite.
Spider bite. In the final meeting on April the 9th, who was in control?
Ronald Anthony Burgos.
That's correct. All day. That's you, sir. Till they got arrested.
The investigation that Grizelda and her friend Adriana launched to find out where he lived, where he worked, who his wife was, his address. Do you know when that started?
I believe that started back in January
Okay.
of 2018.
Of 2018. Okay. No further questions.
Detective, you testified that the meeting at Winfield Park occurred on March 25th of 2018, correct?
Correct.
And as a part of your investigation, you spoke to Ms. Adriana Flores, correct?
I didn't speak to her, but our investigators did.
Okay. You oversaw the investigation.
Yes.
That, spoke to her. And you were aware as a part of your investigation that she was the best friend of Grizelda Hernandez, correct?
Correct.
Matter of fact, you just referenced her, or the district attorney referenced her in the question about when they started investigating Mr. Burgos-Aviles.
Correct. Correct.
Now, you, as a part of your investigation, or your team, collected text messages from Adriana and Grizelda, correct?
That's correct.
And you know that the night before the Bad Bunny concert, which occurred on March 25th, that Grizelda said she'd been up all night with Dominic, correct?
I believe so, yes.
That was because Dominic was sick and coughing the entire night before the first time Mr. Burgos-Aviles saw his child, correct?
Yes.
I pass the witness.
Were you also aware that Adriana Flores' baby, Aaron, also had a cough and was up all night?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, no further questions.
It's getting tense in here.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Mr. Dr. Detective, you may step down and go about your business. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The district attorney is like, yeah, and the judge? They're on their last nerve.
Jose Luis Macias, Your Honor.
Jose Macias.
I just quickly want to switch to the local news if I can, please. And boost. Okay, they turned the sound off.
Come right over here.
Judge, may we approach?
Okay. Let me swear him in real quick.
Sure.
You raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes, sir.
Thank you. Please have a seat over here, sir. Approach.
Oh, we're approaching already. Okay. Wow, that was intense. The judge was like, it's getting. I think the snark tanks are pretty full. Yes. Lori says, "What's being sick have to do with it? Please explain." Well, the defense is just looking at anything to poke holes in the timeline and to, show that Burgos wasn't trying to control anything, but he was. He absolutely was. He's got all the red flags of a domestic aggressor, domestic violence aggressor, and coercive controller. He absolutely controlled everything. Like, meet me at the park, meet me in person. Then he injected Dominic's leg with something. We still don't know what that is. We speculated a lot about it. And then he's like, no, before you take it to the hospital, bring him to me, which was 2 weeks later. Bring him to me first. And then he killed them. Then he was the one to call in that he found the bodies. Yeah, absolute control freak, that one. Yes. Okay, we got a new witness.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
I'll ask you to make sure your mic is on and speak loudly so the court reporter can get your responses.
Yes, sir.
Sir, please state your name for the record.
My name is Jose Luis Macias.
Mr. Macias, how are you employed?
I work for the Webb County Jail as a mental health specialist.
Okay, and how long have you been working for the Webb County Sheriff's Office?
13 years and 8 months.
Okay.
This will be interesting.
And how did you become the mental health specialist?
Before working at the Webb County Jail, I was working at Border Region Behavioral Health Center
as a crisis intervention worker and as an intake worker, as a jail diversion worker.
So you started at the local,
Mental Health Authority in Laredo.
okay, the mental health services in Laredo, which is now Border Region?
Correct, which is Border Region.
And what is your educational background in?
Bachelor's in criminal justice, minor in psychology, and a master's in public administration.
Okay. Now, what does a mental health specialist do? You can tell the jury.
There at Webb County Jail, what we do as a mental health specialist, what you do is you conduct daily assessments on individuals that come to the jail that complain of mental health services, or they have history, or they reported something related to mental health when they arrive to the jail.
Now, when they arrive to the jail, is that somebody who perhaps has just recently been arrested?
Correct, that's what I mean by that, yes.
Okay, so when they're arrested, they come into your custody, correct?
Correct,
And then you conduct an assessment of the person.
right.
And
First,
what is the purpose that when they come in there that you're conducting this assessment?
the purpose is to find out if they need further evaluation, if they actually need mental health services, which means medication inside the jail. And by that, we do it through Webb County Jail psychiatrist, Dr. Mero Sanchez. If we see, based on our assessment, that somebody needs further evaluation, we refer them to either a psychiatrist or Border Region, which is another option.
And is this something that's required under the law by policy? Or?
Correct, by the state, by the Texas Commission, yes, of jail
Texas-
standards.
So under the Texas Jail Standards, the Texas Jail Commission, you're required to make an assessment of the inmate as he comes in, correct?
The jail is supposed to do that, yes.
So walk us through when somebody comes in, what do you do in order to make your initial assessment? Tell
Well,
us.
first of all, when somebody comes to the jail, obviously they get screened first by the nurse. And the nurse uses some of the state forms that we have, that the state provides. And in there's a lot of questions regarding mental health. Questions like if you have history of mental health, if you've been on treatment regarding mental health, if you have attempted suicide in the past, if you have suicidal thoughts, if you have psychosis, if you have hallucinations, just probably I can't finish right now the form, but it's a lot of questions regarding mental health. So whoever complains of something, whatever it is regarding mental health, it could be depression symptoms, it could be suicidal, it could be hallucinations, it could be whatever symptom related to mental health, those they get referred to us by the nurse.
Okay, and how is it that you yourself make your assessment through? Let me ask you, is it through observation, through looking?
Correct, that's one, yes.
That's
basically
one.
what we do is we bring the inmate down to our office and we sit with them face to face and we conduct daily assessments where we pretty much is like an interview.
Okay, and based on that interview, you decide if the person is in crisis or in need or in further services.
Correct, that is correct, sir.
Or if they're okay.
Correct, that is correct.
And if they're okay, then what happens with the inmate?
If we determine that there's no crisis, there's no need for mental health, that's where it ends probably, unless the individual requests to see us again.
Oh, okay. Now, were you working on the day of April the 10th of 2018?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Did you have the opportunity to come in contact with a Ronald Anthony Burgos-Aviles?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is that individual here in the courtroom?
Yes, sir, he's here.
Okay. And is he an inmate at your Webb County Jail?
Correct.
Okay. If you could walk us through, he came in on what day?
I have the chart here, the medical chart. I'm sure I can look at it, right?
Please.
He arrived on 4/10/2018.
Okay. And did you conduct one of your mental health assessments?
That day, yes, sir.
Okay. Can I approach you? 569. Is that next?
569, yes.
Okay. I'm going to show you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 569. Do you recognize that document?
Yes.
Was it prepared by yourself?
Yes, I did this.
And does it fairly and accurately depict what's contained there?
Correct, yes.
Has it been altered in any way?
No.
Same objection, Your Honor.
Now we move to offer State's Exhibit 569.
Admitted. Objections have been overruled.
Thank you. Commissioner Publisher.
All right, let's see it. Thank you so much, Erica. You're like game over.
I'm showing you on the overhead here the mental health assessment. Can you walk us through this assessment?
Yes, sir. This is what we use at the Webb County Jail. It's just a mental health assessment, as it says right there, on the date of 4/10/2018,
And what time did you conduct this assessment?
11 a.m.
And this is on Ronald Anthony Burgos.
Burgos-Aviles, Ronald,
Okay.
date of birth for 1989.
What do we have in here? What are these boxes?
Those are some of the symptoms that I was explaining earlier that people with mental health can present.
Okay, was Mr. Burgos, did he present himself with anxiety?
No,
Did you note any hallucinations?
no,
Did you note any delusions?
no,
Did you note any psychosis?
no,
Did you note any depression?
no.
So in all of these areas, you did not note any of them, correct?
I didn't observe anything like that, and he also didn't report anything like that.
So what were you able to, what sort of information were you able to ascertain of Mr. Burgos? His age?
Correct.
What else?
That he was from Puerto Rico. He was a border patrol agent, and that he was incarcerated on 2 charges of capital murder.
Okay. What was he concerned about?
He stated right there that he was upset and embarrassed about his arrest.
Can you approach me?
Oh my word. He was upset and embarrassed by his arrest. Wow. I mean, right there. Diagnose him. In the situation, he's so busy being embarrassed. He's so busy with his image. Shall we armchair diagnose you guys? Oh man, like when he gets arrested, like, can I please just take my jacket off, or what was it, his shirt? Like his border patrol related shirt, please. Can I just put another shirt on? This is embarrassing. Even at the mental health evaluation on April 10th, you've had one night already in jail. You're like, I'm just so embarrassed. So embarrassed. Like, what? No remorse. And even now, he looks embarrassed. That's all it is. Ah, this guy. Yeah, and he said, of course he's a narcissist. Yeah, and not about what he did. Not remorseful. Embarrassed is what he decided to go with. I'm so embarrassed. Wow, not depressed. They said not depressed, not suicidal, no delusions, just embarrassed. Wow. My goodness. Yeah. Chris says he viciously kills 2 people, but yeah. What feeling is he left with? Embarrassed. So yeah, I'm pretty sure he'd be embarrassed throughout this court proceeding, especially when they're reading out his ridiculous texts, sexting 5 minutes before he murdered a mother and child. Ugh. He's really literally the worst. Every time we cover cases, it's just like, is this one the worst you've ever heard of? Like, this one is the worst, honestly. This one is like top 5 of the worst, honestly. This man, baby boy, being like, hi, here for a mental health evaluation. So embarrassed. Do you think that that's relatable or what? Yeah. Kathleen says, that's exactly what you were saying yesterday. That's what I was saying. He only thinks of himself, and now even more so do I agree with whoever said it 2 days ago. When he saw pictures of himself, he probably cried. It wasn't about the kids or the wife or his mom. It was seeing himself as he once was, crying, that brought him to tears. He's just so embarrassed. Wow. Taya May says this man is a classic narcissist, but like textbook. I mean, Oh no, I can't even. I don't know about that. Sandy says your comments from yesterday. One comment stated Amy knew about Grizelda and that the baby and told him to get rid of them. I don't know. I don't believe that. I think some people just really want to traumatize the family further, right? I'm not saying you. I'm saying whoever said it. I'm not sure about that. It just seems like people like to find the villain, where the villain's right here. Here he is. You want to find him? Yeah. Bree says, what are your top 5 worst defendants? I'll have to make a list, but I mean, Chris Watts is right up there. Right up there. Similar type of baby boy. Following his micro PP around. Cheating, lying, and then can't take responsibility for anything. And like, oh, okay. You know what I should do? Yeah, kill. Honestly, how did they get there? Such a man-child. This one, Chris Watts, those types. Yes, indeed. Cherry says, every time Grizzly True Crime says, baby boy, my cat's head pops up because that's what I call him. Baby boy. I don't call Fury that. Call him my little man. Fury's a savage little man. He's not here right now, but he'll be back later. Alpha She-Wolf says narcissistic injury is a thing. Pauline, me too. You say at this point I just want this POS to go away forever. And I'm thinking so does, of course, the prosecuting team. I think everyone does, even the defense, you know. The judge is just like, oh man, just get through this now. But they got to do it properly. They got to do it properly. This whole trial, have patience. It's been 5 years of waiting for this. Wow. So they got to do it properly. So there will be appeals anyway, but so there's no mistrial or anything like that. Kathleen said delusional problem solving, like absolutely delusional, immature problem solving. No ability to really function in the adult world, huh? That's why I say baby boy. Okay, what do we got? Are we going to see this mental health evaluation or what? Narcissistic personality disorder?
In this section, this is what Mr. Burgos reports to you.
Correct.
Okay. What does he report to you regarding his mental health status?
What he said there was that upon arrival to Wake County, he stated was not sure if he wanted to hurt himself or not, as per nurse's notes. That's something that he said to the nurse that screened him when he arrived to the jail, before I saw him.
What does it say here?
Inmate reports once experienced suicidal ideations in 2012 due to marital problems, but didn't attempt suicide. Inmate denied hallucinations, suicidal, homicidal ideations, or dead wishes at that time.
No, but up here.
Inmate stated was not sure if he wanted to hurt himself or not, as per nurse's note. And that again, I'm saying that's something that he said upon arrival to the nurse that screened him.
Okay.
When I saw him, he denied any suicidal, homicidal thoughts.
Did he? What about the topic of hallucination?
He denied hallucinations, suicidal, homicidal ideations, or dead wishes at that time to me.
He denied suicide, homicidal ideations, or death wishes.
Correct.
Right.
He then complains of being on full suicide watch, which was cold and with no mattress.
So, talk to us about what does that mean?
Being on full suicide watch, when somebody comes to the jail and voices suicidal ideations or doesn't respond to the question if you're having suicidal ideations, or protocol or precaution is to put you on full suicide watch, which means instead of a regular uniform, you get a green gown. It's a green gown provided in all the jails in the state, and you're isolated, preferably in a booking area, to be observed and monitored every 30 minutes.
And he complained about that.
He complained of being in that status. That is correct.
What about active psychosis or hallucinations?
I didn't see anything, and that's where I put no active psychosis, hallucinations observed, and delusions were not evident.
If you were to observe psychosis, what sort of symptoms would you look for?
Psychosis will present, an individual has psychosis, he has no, it's called loose association with reality. He starts presenting symptoms like hallucinations, auditory or visual hallucinations, or delusions, which means you're hearing voices or you're seeing things, or you can perhaps, if you're in your cell or you're talking to somebody like that, it appears like he's responding to internal stimuli.
Objection, Your Honor. This witness hasn't been qualified to speak to these issues.
And so you didn't observe him talking to an imaginary figure?
Correct, nothing like that. There was no bizarre or defiant behavior. Obviously, no signs of mental decompensation.
And this is what you do full time is assessments, correct?
Correct, daily.
You see inmates every day,
Daily, yes, sir.
and your job is to detect mental health issues.
Correct. Any symptoms related to mental health?
Now, do you do treatment for them?
No.
Now, what is this mental status observed? This is this box.
That's pretty much what I observed when I sat with him, when I saw him face to face.
Let's go over that.
Appearance, I saw obviously that he was wearing this suicide gown that we talk about.
Okay.
His behavior, his attitude at the time was cooperative. He was calm. Mood, maybe slightly anxious, congruent to mood. That was his effect. His speech was clear, was normal. Eye contact was good. Thought process, he was coherent, he was logical, he was organized. Suicidal thoughts, as he mentioned to me, there was none. And psychotic symptoms, I didn't see anything. Non-reported or detected, I put there, which means he didn't report any, and I didn't see any. Inside judgment was good at the time, and he was alert and oriented ×3, which means he was oriented to person, place, and time.
He knew where he was.
Correct.
He knew if it was day or night. Did you know?
Correct.
Is it normal for somebody who comes into jail to be anxious?
Yes, we can say that, especially with the charges.
Yeah,
that
but just in general, when somebody is in jail, do you know anxiousness?
Correct.
Okay. We hear you say he was made aware of.
Mental health services at Webb County Jail. Basically, he was made aware that I was the worker there as a mental health specialist, that we had a psychiatrist, that we had mental health services in the jail.
If he needed any help, you were there.
Correct.
If I may approach you.
Yes, good. Could I see the document?
Tori says, so basically he didn't show any signs of being upset that he just murdered his son and son's mother. Seems like there were no signs of that. He was placed on suicide watch, cooperative calm, slightly anxious, probably just for his ego. Oh my word, is my ego going to survive this? I'm so embarrassed. He had good eye contact, normal speech, logical, organized thought. That's where I would be like, in the moment, yes. But I wouldn't call him very logical or very smart. Burgos, double-digit IQ. Making plans. And being like, oh no, he probably thought, if I go on suicide watch, maybe I'm going to get better treatment. No. Then he realized, oh no, it's a little bit cold and I don't have a mattress. I don't like the green gown. So he complained about that. He wasn't comfortable. Sure. Mr. Boggs is full of energy today. He's like, I'm gonna make a comeback. Yes, we know the jury found him guilty. We already know what he did, but anyway. Now he's like, in the fight, right? Tracy says, Another sidebar? Number 3? Absolutely. Number 3 of 342 for the day. I don't know if you guys saw, but I trimmed out all the waffle from yesterday so that the replay watchers don't have to sit through all that, right? And yesterday's afternoon one ended up being 1 hour and 20 minutes of all that. Of all that entire time that we sat together, it was like 3.5 hours, 1 hour and 20 minutes was productive. Linda Boatner, thank you so much for your $1.99 super sticker. The rest of the letter says, gee, you're hilarious. The green mini dress was an absolute worst for him. Yeah, he thought like, oh yes, I would like the top perks you have. So yeah, I felt suicidal in the past, not so much now. But maybe. And they're like, ooh, better place him on suicide watch. And then it's like, okay, green gown, off you go. This guy, imagine being a fly on the wall and then he's like, it's a little bit cold and I don't have a mattress. And isolated, which tells me he's a bit scared. Which tells me he should go to life without parole. He'll be so scared. Oh my gosh, I do not want that job, Peyton. To count after the trial how many times the defense objects or calls sidebars. And I don't know because I've cut it all out. I've cut it out. I've trimmed out all the fluff. Replay watchers, you could thank me later. There are timestamps and it's waffle free. No sniffles, no waffles, with timestamps. That's how we roll over here. Okay. Ooh, Mr. Boggs and District Attorney Isidro Alanis not getting along so well today. They're doing their best, I understand, but today is like snark. Blessed Mom from Texas says jail isn't fun. Prison is much better, unfortunately. He's been in jail, the Webb County jail, for 5 years. In protective custody. Isolated. Purette, if only I could trim out all his greasy hair. How's he doing that? Is he buying that on commissary or what? Like a little bit of gel? Did he make the little curls with his finger there? See him, we can poke fun at him a little bit. Yeah, he's the killer. But let's leave it at that. Let's not poke fun at the appearance of the others in the room. Him though, yeah, I understand. Eldot says, I will thank you now, Grizzly True Crime. Oh, thank you. And Pierre says, someone needs to tell him to relax on the grease. But he's a greasy guy. A spineless, greasy creature.
What's been marked as State's Exhibit 570. Ask you to look at those documents, those 3 pages. Are you familiar with these documents?
Yes.
Do they fairly accurately depict what's contained therein?
Yes.
Did you prepare these documents?
Yes, I did.
Have they been altered in any way?
No.
And we'll move to offer State's Exhibit 570.
Subject to the conversation at the bench your comments.
All right, subject to all of that, and same rules from the court, 570 is admitted.
Okay. This would be the second mental health assessment that you've done?
Yes.
And what was the date of this?
Day May 25th, 2018.
Did you note any conditions here of or complaints?
He didn't report any.
So there's no psychosis,
No psychosis there.
no delusion,
No delusions.
no hallucinations,
Correct.
no anxiety,
Correct.
no sleep problems,
Correct.
no depression,
Correct.
no suicidal ideation.
That is correct. The only thing that he complained there was where it says other.
The uniform.
Correct.
Over here where it says, can you read this?
Yes, inmate denies current depressive symptoms, anxiety, auditory visual hallucinations, suicidal homicidal ideations, or dead wishes. No history of suicide attempts reported. Stated has been sleeping and eating fine. He may behave appropriately during interview. No active psychotic features detected. No signs of mental decompensation were evident, and no distress noted.
And this is after he's been with you a little over a month, right?
Correct.
His appearance?
His appearance, again, he was wearing the suicide gown, but had proper hygiene. He was, behavior was cooperative, calm. He was polite with the worker, with me. Mood was neither elated nor depressed. Affect was appropriate. Speech was normal. Eye contact there was good. Thought process, he was coherent and logical. Suicidal thoughts, none reported. Psychotic symptoms, none observed. Inside judgment was good, and he was oriented ×3 again, and stable.
In your assessment here is that he's not,
Yeah, my assessment says that mental health specialist conducted a suicide assessment on inmate, and it was determined inmate is not in mental health crisis or at suicide risk at this time. Inmate signed the no suicide contract. Inmate was made aware of mental health service at Webb County Jail again, and agreed to submit a MH request as needed.
and what is a suicide contract?
Suicide contract is just like an agreement that he signed saying that he doesn't have any suicidal thoughts. On top, it says, I agree not to hurt myself, either accidentally or on purpose. If I'm unable to keep this agreement, I will contact the Webb County Medical Department staff. The agreement contract was signed by Mr. Burgos, another worker, and myself.
He was cooperative.
Correct, the whole time.
Yes, Chris, the uniform.
This is part of the suicide assessment.
Okay. And,
Objection, Your Honor. I don't believe this was a part of the, and that if I could look at the exhibit.
sure, yes, go ahead. And it was yesterday and it was today.
Mr. Boggs, he's got energy for the final stretch of this trial.
Withdraw my immediate objection.
I'm gonna just, so you checked these off while you were with him?
Correct, yes.
So, the only yes here is that is inmate isolated from others socially? Yes.
Correct, because he was segregated. He was on full suicide watch.
Was he psychotic,
No,
clinically depressed?
no,
That he wishes to die?
no,
Elevation in mood?
no,
He had no lethal plan of action?
no,
Did he have a chronic debilitating medical
I'm
illness?
sorry, Mr. Alanis.
no,
Did he have a chronic debilitating medical illness?
no.
So that's 570, and it has 3 pages, is that correct?
570 has 3 pages.
Thank you.
I have 2 more, I'll show them to the court. There's only 4. 571 and 572. Which one was last one? Do you have the,
The district attorney is so snarky today. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I hope he can just keep his cool. It's okay. It's been a very frustrating process. Just remain calm. This is a great witness. You can hear what Burgos was complaining about. Just the uniform. A bit cold. And the contract he would have signed would be because he was on suicide watch based on what he said before. So when they release him from that, still in protective custody, he's like, okay, I don't have that. Yes. Valane says, hold it together, Alanis. The world is with you. We feel his frustration. I understand. It's been a long process, but just chill. And I think he probably doesn't feel so well. He seemed like the one with the sore throat, right? Nicole says, I can't imagine how hard it must be to hold back the snarkiness. We can hear the sidebar, cameraman. We don't want to do that. That mustn't be streamed. Tori says the DA has been doing great. Tranquilo, Mr. DA. Angela says, what did he think? He was going to a picnic? It reminds me of Letitia's style, because she also thought jail is like a resort. She's like, I want to complain about the management around here. Also, there's threats. There are threats in my breakfast. We were like, wait, what? Threats in the food. Threats in the peanut butter. That's what she said. Yeah, I got that. Tranquilo, it goes chill.
So at this time, you've done 2 assessments, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you remember at any time in June of 2018 being advised by Mr. Burgos' attorney not to conduct any more assessments?
Yes.
Did you in fact conduct another assessment in October of 2018?
When I remember, but there's a note that means yes, I did.
Or if you can refer to your notes.
October 3rd, 2018. That is correct.
So, but 4 months before that, you had received a letter not to conduct
Correct, yes.
any assessments, is that right?
Yes.
So, without revealing the contents of the assessment, okay, without revealing anything in the assessment, why would you have conducted an assessment after receiving that letter from his attorney?
The reason being because I believe he was on suicide gown again, and I needed to reassess him in order to help him out and give him a uniform again. That was the only reason.
Questions? All right.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Now, I want to talk about your qualifications in just a moment, but what I'd like to address first is your descriptions of your interviews with Mr. Burgos-Aviles.
Yes, sir.
In every interview, he was cooperative, correct?
Yes.
And he was respectful with you, is that correct?
Correct.
And he knew that he was facing a possible death sentence, correct?
That I don't know.
Okay. Well, you indicated on direct examination that he was oriented to time and place, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so oriented to time and place means it was your belief that he understood where he was and what was happening, correct?
Correct, yes.
All right. And you knew, for instance, that he was facing a possible death sentence.
Correct.
Okay. So if he's oriented to time and place, and you knew that he was facing a possible death sentence, it's fair to infer that he knew he was facing a possible death
It's
sentence.
fair.
Okay. And now you also discussed psychosis with the district attorney on direct examination.
Correct.
And you indicated that, and I want to talk about your qualifications in a moment, but you indicated that you did not see any signs of psychosis in Mr. Burgos-Aviles. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. You didn't observe him hearing voices or apparitions or fantasies, correct?
Or delusions, correct.
Right. I think the district attorney used imaginary as his word. You didn't observe any of that, correct?
Correct.
Now, like I said, I want to speak about your qualifications in a moment, but from your opinion and understanding, psychosis is a continuum, right? It's a progression. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. So full-on psychosis would mean when you're seeing things that are not there, correct?
Say that again.
Full-on, like on the far end of psychosis, that means that you're hearing voices that aren't really talking to you, correct?
Or you have delusions.
Or
Yes.
delusions. That
Correct.
would be full-on.
Correct.
Now, there's no way for you to observe whether or not his thinking and thought processes had been affected, correct?
When I saw him, his thoughts, like it says in the report, they were coherent, logical, and organized.
Okay. But you don't know what's going on inside his head, correct?
I just
So you're not claiming to be a mind reader, right?
no, definitely not.
Okay.
Mr. Brooklyn? Mr. Boggs, Mr. Alanis?
It looks like Burgos also has a cough drop now. Did you see that? He also wanted one. It's one of the perks of waiting 5 years for a trial instead of just pleading guilty. Oh, this guy, my word. So, in October of 2018, Burgos' attorneys asked that he's not assessed again, but because the witness, Jose Luis Macias, observed that he was back in his suicide gown, even after he signed a contract. This guy. It's like, I'm back in the gown. He was like, well, I need to assess him again. Gigi Girl says he was hoping for special treatment. Did he think he was going to get preferential treatment? Delusional. I do think he did think so. Yes, indeed. It tells us a lot about him, doesn't it? That shows how manipulative he is. So even in the situation, he's a little embarrassed and he's thinking, he's calculating, if I say I'm a little suicidal, maybe I'll get a cool gown and my own room. The judge wants to move on.
Now, sir, I'd like to talk about your job and your training.
Yes, sir.
Your title at the Webb County Sheriff's Office is Mental Health Specialist.
That is correct.
Okay. And I think you testified on direct examination that you have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice.
Yes.
Is that correct? And then a minor in psychology.
That is correct.
All right. And that's a part of that bachelor's degree.
Correct.
Now, and you also have a master's degree in public administration.
That is correct, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, would it be fair to say we could both agree that it's the psychology minor that is the relevant part of your job as a mental health specialist? Is that correct?
And I guess the criminal justice also, because that's where I work at the county jail.
And now, I apologize, but for a minor in psychology, that is how many hours, sir, of college credit?
Probably 18 hours.
18 hours. So is that about 6 classes? Is that correct?
I want to say yes.
Okay, so you took 6 undergraduate classes in psychology, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And I just want to make sure, right, you're not giving any clinical impressions, are you?
No.
Okay, as a matter of fact, you need a license to give clinical impressions, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you don't hold that license?
No.
And I think you testified on direct examination that you do these mental health screenings every day, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and matter of fact, what I believe I heard you say is that the law requires every inmate to be screened for mental health.
Correct.
Is that correct? So you have a lot of inmates that you have to screen every day, is that correct?
That we see, yes.
And a part of that is that you want to decrease violence and self-harm within the jail. Is that correct?
Make sure that they're safe, first of all, yes.
Okay. And as a part of your screening, you're not there to discuss their criminal case, correct?
No, I can say we don't. Which is probably the first question that I'll ask in my assessment is just why are they there? If they're aware of the charges. That helps me to find out that they understand and they're oriented.
So, but it's a part of your training not to get into the facts of their criminal case, correct?
Right, I'm not gonna investigate anything about that, yeah.
Okay. Matter of fact, you don't give them a waiver or tell them that they have a Fifth Amendment privilege not to speak to you, do you?
No, all I do, again, is pretty much I just, about his legal status, I just ask about the charges, which obviously I know why they're there, right? I have a system where it tells me why is he there, what the charges are.
And you don't, for instance, tell these inmates that you're screening that anything they say could be used against them in a court of law like they do in the movies, right? You don't tell them that.
No,
Okay. And yet you're here testifying against Mr. Burgos-Aviles today, aren't you?
yes, I'm here.
He's like, yes, I am here.
And in this case, the district attorney talked about a letter that Mr. Burgos-Aviles' former lawyer wrote asking that you not have contact with him. Is that correct?
Yes,
And that wasn't me, right?
right.
Okay. Because I wouldn't do that. Now, as a matter of fact, you had
gonna show
a
you.
verbal argument with that previous attorney about this case, didn't you?
That I don't know, I don't remember.
You don't remember?
Yeah, I don't think so.
And it was after that verbal argument that he wrote the letter asking that a counselor, and he put it in quotes, be restricted from visiting Mr. Burgos-Aviles.
I don't remember having any contact with the attorney.
I think you told the district attorney that that letter is in your file.
The letter, yeah, the letter got to the medical department, it was filed on the chart.
And part of your job as a mental health specialist in the Webb County Jail is to monitor and make sure that people are safe, correct?
Correct.
Now, since that first time that you saw Mr. Burgos-Aviles on April 10th of 2018, there have been no reports of violent acts by Mr. Burgos-Aviles, have there?
No,
Matter of fact, you told us in every interaction that you've had with Mr. Burgos-Aviles, he's been respectful and cooperative, correct?
that is correct.
And you indicated that you spoke to him just last week, correct?
Yes,
And that was after this jury convicted him of capital murder, correct?
that is correct.
And he knew at that time that this jury would decide whether or not he would spend the rest of his life in prison and die in prison or be executed, correct?
I assume that.
I'm going to object to the relevance of this line of questioning. I think he's way outside the scope of the relevancy of what Mr. Macias is here for.
One more question on this line.
Come on, just wrap it up.
And knowing all that, he was respectful and cooperative with you a week ago, correct?
Yes,
If I could just have a moment.
You said one more question, sir. He is polite, okay? He's a nice guy. I know they're just doing their job, but like, damn.
Thank you for your patience and for your service, sir.
thank you, sir.
After the verdict of guilty for double homicide, capital murder, was Mr. Burgos' accommodations changed?
Yes, they did.
Did he complain about that change?
Yes, he did.
Hold on a second.
Oh, his accommodations were
I
changed
think I
after the
already
guilty verdict.
ruled on that issue with the documentation.
Tell us more.
Yes, sir. Yeah, but he just asked him, he was just asking him if Mr. Burgos had been cooperative or
A week
not,
ago. Yeah.
complained about anything at the jail.
Correct.
Specifically after the verdict.
Yes.
And I just wanted to ask him that question, that if after the verdict, Mr. Burgos complained, that's all.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Did he complain after the verdict?
Yes, he complained of being placed in another cell.
Okay.
Of course he did.
How many inmates have you assessed in your 13 years?
I would not know, but many,
Thousands?
probably.
And the reason you're here is because the state of Texas required you to be here, correct?
Correct.
And I brought you here, correct?
Yes, sir.
No further questions.
All right. Anything else, sir? Redirect, I mean recross?
Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to say thank you so much for your excuse me, go up.
Thanks.
Excellent witness. Excellent. Wow. Is it coffee break time? I can feel it. I know it. It is, isn't it?
1 second.
Aw, Burgos was complaining after the guilty verdict that he had to be moved to another cell. He doesn't want to change rooms. Can't wait for this guy to be moved wherever he's going. Why would he even... You see? I told you. It's going to be a coffee break now. We could feel it. We know it. We know how they roll already. Okay. It's coffee break time. Unofficial lunch break. That's what I'm thinking from what the judge came up and said. You guys are guessing. But don't worry. If on the new stream when we started, as soon as they come back, it's the same deal. As soon as they're back in, we're back on. Huh? So let's do that. Let me make this one public for you. It is public. So I'm going to say, go here now. Okay? Typing that in for you. Is it even the right one? I hope so, yeah. Okay. I'm going to pin that message for you. Let's end this long waffle stream and start a new, fresh one. Clean slate. And as soon as they're back, we're back. Okay? You're like, don't go. Don't worry. We'll be there in chat. Same as we are here. There's no difference except just go there. It just gives me the ability to just cut out a lot of this waffle. If it gets too long, you can't do that. Pernille says, fine idea. Okay. So I will see you guys in that one. It's pinned, okay? It's pinned for you. You ready? Here we go.